The evacuation order is now a mandatory one, and the roads are jammed getting out of the New Orleans area. But you know what? That's the way it should be as Hurricane Katrina bears down on the Gulf Coast of the United States. I'll have a live report in a moment.
Over here on Mobile Bay, the wind is picking up as catastrophic Kristinia heads this way. We'll have the latest, just issued the latest evacuation orders for southern Alabama.
Hi, and welcome to Weekend Now. I'm Kristinia Abernathy.
And I'm Kevin Robinson. We are watching a very dangerous and deadly hurricane. It's now a Category 5 hurricane on a scale of 1 to 5. That's the most intense type of storm we can have. Maximum sustained winds at 175 miles an hour.
Now, this time Katrina is expected to make landfall sometime midday tomorrow. And remember this was just a few days ago when Katrina made its first landfall in South Florida. It brought winds of up to 95 miles an hour and more than a foot of rain to some places, and that was when it was a Category 1. As we just said, now it's a Category 5.
That's right. Here's the very latest information. I want you to look at the minimum central pressure there, down to 907 millibars. And to those of you at home, you may be asking yourselves, what does that mean? Well, in comparison, you could easily take this storm and compare it to Hurricane Camille, which was the most intense hurricane to ever strike the United States. Right now, the storm is 225 miles south-southeast of the mouth of the Mississippi River. And look at the movement, which has actually accelerated some since last night, off to the west-northwest at 12. So that means anything you're going to do here to prepare yourself for this hurricane needs to be rushed to completion this afternoon and this evening.
Here's the path that it's taken so far as it is here in the Gulf, just kind of a close-up view. It was moving to the west. Now we have seen it taking that turn more toward the northwest, and we expect that northerly component of the movement to continue, and that's why we're so concerned about the northern Gulf Coast, and that includes areas from southeast Louisiana over into Mississippi and Alabama.
One thing you can look on that satellite, look at the huge eye of that storm. It's almost like a huge cyclops eye. They're just one huge eye. They're churning in the Gulf of Mexico this afternoon, and there it is, encompassing just about the entire eastern Gulf at this time. And we've overlaid the hurricane with the wind plots also, and you can see those easterly winds beginning to plow that water up there into southeastern Louisiana and along the Mississippi Gulf Coast.
Well, our coverage of Katrina along the Gulf Coast continues.
Jeff Morrow is in New Orleans, where a mandatory evacuation order is in effect, and Mike Seidel is in Mobile, Alabama.
And our hurricane expert, Dr. Steve Lyons, will be with us in about 10 minutes. But, Jeff, let's start with you. How is the traffic flowing with all these evacuations there?
Well, it's pretty much jammed up on parts of Interstate 10 right now. But I'll tell you what, I've been down here talking to you guys on the Riverwalk, and our producer, Jim Gagne, has actually been up at I-10. What did you see when you were up there?
Yeah, we drove down to the lake, myself and the photographer, and it was jam-packed. Both times when we went down there about a half hour ago, and then when coming back, it was still jam-packed. But I was also at the mayor's office, and they said once you get away from that urban area, it loosens up a little bit. But yeah, right now, inside the city, it looks really busy.
So if people are evacuating, don't be dissuaded that you might get stuck here for a little bit. It will clear up.
Yeah, that's especially the news that the governor wanted to get out, make sure that was the truth. But yeah, it is busy. As soon as you look at that, it looks really intimidating.
Yeah. All right, Jim Gagne. Again, he was out scouting around for us for a location, a safer one, a little bit earlier. Let's show you what they were doing down around the French Quarter. This was late yesterday, and these pictures taken early today. Boarding up as fast as they can, rushing those preparations here for the hurricane to completion here. Right now, we're talking about the French Quarter basically being shut down for all intents and purposes. And we talked to one man about a little bit of a historical perspective on this storm.
This is supposed to be the worst one I've ever read about, heard about. You know, they're talking 155 mile an hour wind. We've never been through one like that.
And how long have you been here?
About 50 years, 55 years, something like that.
Yeah, the only thing you could compare it to really is Hurricane Camille. That is the one all other hurricanes are measured by. And this one right now is at least as strong, if not a little bit stronger than Camille. Well, let's go a little bit farther east over to Mike Seidel. He is near the USS Alabama there on the shoreline of Mobile Bay. And Mike, what are evacuations like there? Are there any?
There are. They just announced them in the past hour, Jeff. The EOC here in Mobile County has announced voluntary evacuations, nothing mandatory, for zones 1 and 2. That includes the area south of I-10 where we are, and also zone 2, which is east of I-65 and off to the and also Highway 45. That includes the downtown Mobile area, up the Mobile River, also the Saraland area, and again out towards the coast out around Dauphin Island. The next county over, Baldwin County, including Gulf Shores. From what we hear now, they're on the phone with the governor. The governor has to make the mandatory evacuations, and I assume that's going to kick in pretty shortly. We'll let you know when we get the official word, and no doubt we'll have probably some mandatory evacuations here before the day is over. Check the radar right now, Sky Tracker, and that's swirl bringing some rain bands all the way into Plaquemines Parish into southeast Louisiana. We've got the clouds here, and again, that continues to swirl this way, so we've got the sun blocked out, so it's a little bit than it was, and the winds are continuing to pick up. Look at the surge potential. We look back at 3 big storms, Camille, Frederick, and George, and notice the highest surge was with Frederick, 12 to 13 feet. That was the Cat 3 back in '79, and that was the worst surge they've seen, at least on record. That's why we're not going to be here. We're not going to be here as it makes landfall. One other thing, I-10, picking up on what Jeff said, I-10 here, at least in southern Alabama, is moving freely. Kristinia, Kevin?
And it actually looks like Mobile could have a surge up to 20 feet there, so it could be just devastating.
Yeah, we could be dealing with a storm of unprecedented proportions. More coming up.